The debate on whether or not we should eliminate student loan debt is very interesting. And after my last student loan video, I ended up doing a poll on my community tab on my YouTube channel. So you guys got to take a look at it. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about those polls. And also we're going to talk about, are they going to eliminate $50,000 in student loan debt? My thoughts on what other things they could do, and why I think student loan debt and other debt, how the interest differs on those. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Tasha from the Major Change Group, where we believe small changes can create big results. And if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. We talk about credit, budgeting, and student loan. I ended up doing a poll on my YouTube page on my community tab, and the first poll that I did was, should we eliminate $50,000, $10,000, or if you borrowed it, you pay it back? And I want to say 73 to 75% of people said they would like $50,000 of their student loans eliminated. Then I did a poll. Has student loans affected your lifestyle? Has it hindered you from buying a house, getting a car, starting a family? Has student loans affected you? And this was pretty interesting as well. Most people said that student loans has affected their lives, because you know it can end up, you can get your wages garnished, it can impact your credit score. So student loans can definitely impact your lifestyle. And my last question was, what if the government said if we pay off $50,000 of your student loans, you cannot borrow any more student loan debt? And I thought that this was really good. And I talked to my sister about this, and she was like, no, she would not get $50,000 of her student loans eliminated because she would borrow more student loan debt. But I said that if they paid off my $50,000 of student loan, I wouldn't have to get any more student loans. But I think it just differs depending upon which area you are in your career. Because say like my sister, she's in education, and you know they need further education. But like for me, I'm in business and I already have my bachelor's and my master's. So really, I don't need any more continued education, I guess you could say. But in the poll, people said that yes, most people said that yes, they would not get any more student loans if they eliminate it. Now, I was not saying that the government was saying this. I was just saying myself, if we eliminate $50,000 or any amount of student loan debt, how will we not get back to the student loan? Jump down in the comments and let me know, where do you stand on this topic? Do you think that the government is going to eliminate $50,000 in student loans, $25,000 in student loans, or $10,000 in student loans? Now, the Democrats are pushing Biden to cancel $50,000 in student loans, but I mean, he's really around the $10,000 mark. But I always say, you know, kind of start high and then you might end somewhere in the middle. But I really think that this issue is a multi-level issue because, you know, with high tuition costs and then the interest, you know, Biden has said some things around tuition. And then, you know, some states have it to where you can go to a 2-year college for free and then you can move on to, you know, other universities. But they really haven't talked about the interest. Now, I know that since March of last year, you know, we haven't had to make payments on student loans for the federal, and then they're not doing any interest on student loans, but that's all they really said around the interest, but they haven't said anything else. And I think that this is really where we should start on the interest, because that is where it's really hurting people. And it wasn't until last year, because I was still making my payments on the student loans from March till November. So I believe I had probably made over $3,000 in payments, and that's where I really started to see a decrease. You know, since I've been making my payments, of course it's been going down, but it wasn't until this year, well, 2020, where I really started to see a, you know, more of a drastic kind of decrease in the student loans, because the interest was not accruing on the student loans. And you know, I always say, like when you're in college, it depends on which kind of loan, if you do unsub or sub. So I won't get into that part, but you know, when you're in college, once you graduate, then they end up putting all their interest on it. And then once you start paying it back, then they're putting interest on it every month too, compared to, let's say if you get a car loan or some other kind of loan, all you're doing is paying interest on the principal opposed to how they do the student loan. So let's say for your car, if you pay more on the principal, then the loan will go down pretty fast. But for the student loans, in my opinion, the interest really kind of eats it up. So I really feel like they should tackle the interest on the student loans. Now, some facts around student loans. Did you know that 43 million people are impacted with the $1.7 trillion in student loan debt? And the average student loan debt is around $33,000. But I had like $60,000 of student loan debt, and we all know people have different amounts, so it could be lower or higher in that amount. Now, other areas around student loans are consumer protections, and we know that you cannot file bankruptcy on student loans like you can with auto loans or housing. And don't get me started on those Parent Plus loans, or if you co-sign on a student loan, you know, it's hard to get off of those. And God forbid something was to happen to the person that had those student loans, they're going to be expecting that parent or that co-signer to take over that loan. And let's say you have a parent that's in their 60s, they about to go to retirement, and God forbid something happens to that person. Now they're going to expect that, you know, older person to pay for that. That's not right. So definitely some things have to go down with them correcting those consumer and give more consumer protections around student loans. And I think Biden, because he definitely has something to do with that. So, and I think he has kind of talked about it. So I definitely hope that they do that. Now I would say that's where the discussion really needs to happen. The difference between student loan debt and all of the other debt, because there's so many protections around the other debt compared to student loan debt, because the government is pretty much guaranteed that they're going to get your money because they will garnish your check, compared to with the other loans, you can file bankruptcy on that and you could probably still keep your house, still keep your car, because even though people are defaulting on their housing and on their cars, you know, they have the moratoriums to where you can stay in your house. But even if they didn't have the moratoriums on it, usually there's a process for you to be put out of your house, compared to with your student loans. Like, they guarantee that money and they're going to get their money if you default on it a lot faster than on the housing. And so that's why I think that's why I really think that they want to delete student loan debt compared to the others, because they know that they have done some shady stuff around student loans, and you know, with the guaranteeing of that money compared to other loans. And I feel like that's what we really need to talk about to see what the difference is between the two. Drop down in the comments and let me know, what are your thoughts about student loan debt compared to all of the other debt? Now, thinking about the poll that I did asking, should they eliminate student loan debt or not? And those folks that said, well, if you borrowed it, you should pay it back. And I'm all for paying back your student loans. But you got to think also, when a person is 17 or 18 years old, they don't have a credit score, they don't have a job to necessarily pay those student loans, and then the government is allowing them to borrow, you know, 10, 20, you know, the average cost of university is $22,000. And then the thing is, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job to be able to pay those student loans off, compared to if you get a house or a car, you got to have a certain credit score, you got to put so much money down, or you got to make so much money. And so the process of getting student loans compared to other loans, even that's different. So that's why I think they should eliminate it. But how can we not get back to the student loan crisis if they do eliminate student loan? And that's where I think tackling the student loan interest will help us. And then that's why I also said, if they eliminate your student loan debt, I don't think they should allow you to borrow anymore. But the main thought is, if they eliminate any amount of student loan debt, we don't want to end up back in the same position that we're in now. So that's why I say, you know, kind of put some stipulations around it. Now, do you think that we're close to eliminating or canceling any student loan debt? You know, $50,000. Now, Joe, he's really around the $10,000 mark, but I think it might be somewhere in the middle. But I really think they should tackle the student loan interest and the consumer protections around that, so that people can discharge student loans in bankruptcy, and just give some other protections as well. But we'll have to see. I hope that you found this helpful. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and turn your notification bell on so that you'll be the first to be notified, because I got some more information around these student loans. You know, we really don't talk about private student loans as much, so I'm going to get into that a little bit more as well. But I thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.
It's not a game, it's a